Hello, Potomac Crossing Ward. This is the Come Follow Me lesson for 2021 Doctrine and Covenants, lesson number 11, covering Doctrine and Covenants sections 23 through 26. This set of texts is addressing a church which is relatively new and relatively small. When we're reading about the Colesville branch or the Fayetteville branch, these are largely just the families there in Fayette, uh, in the Fayette branch or Fayetteville. I don't know. It's pretty much just the Whitmer family, and the Colesville branch is just the Newell Knight family. There are a few other people there, but this is still very much the nascent church. And the early church is experiencing a lot of adversity, a lot of harassment, and even some persecution. Written in Joseph Smith's History of the Church and also in Lucy Mack Smith's history, there are accounts which are um, pretty bad of the locals turning against them, not just boycotting the purchase of the book, but doing everything they can to try and have Joseph arrested under any ridiculous charge at all, and then harassing his family over unpaid debts, to the point of stealing their food and throwing Joseph Smith Sr. in jail on trumped up charges. I mean, there's a lot of like just nonsense going on. If there was any expectation or hope that the Book of Mormon would be accepted and accepted well, and that people would join the church, that hope, those expectations have been dashed. The surrounding people have largely turned against them. Preachers are preaching against them. We know that there are various newspaper articles being written that are negative. Um, it's around these areas, the people have turned, the population in general has turned against the church and against Joseph and his family, and they're experiencing a fair amount of adversity. So we see in section 23, the Lord addresses 5 different people and encourages them and says, look, you're doing the right thing, you're in good standing with me, so focus on that, not the present stress and cares of what you're experiencing here and now. So the first 4, not the 5th, are people addressed in section 23. They're told that they're under no condemnation. All of those people have been baptized, so this is a phrase associated with the forgiveness of sins. The 5th person, the unbaptized knight, does not receive a statement. He is encouraged to get baptized. So here's a group of people who are under some stress, and they're saying, hey, Joseph, what should we do? Lead us by revelation. And the Lord gives them some rather terse statements, but these terse statements are statements that, hey, you guys are on the right track, do the right thing, and keep at it, in an eternal sense. Section 24, this is aimed at both Smith and Cowdery. Joseph Smith is addressed in verses 1 through 9, and then Oliver Cowdery is addressed in 10 through 19. And it's clear that the Lord has a different calling or expectations for Smith and for Cowdery, and this is largely being communicated to Cowdery. It's pretty clear through the early church that Oliver is aspiring to more than what the Lord has told him he should be doing, and Cowdery considers himself Smith's equal, if not his better. So we see consistently through a number of these texts where Cowdery is being warned or told, or however you want to phrase it, the Lord is saying, look, here's what I would want, here's what I want from you. You need to not, aspire to more than that, and you need to focus on what I've called you to do. So it's already started, but Cowdery has this problem of pride, and it's being addressed here. Section 25. This one is addressed to Emma Smith, and she is encouraged to support Joseph in a spiritual sort of way, given the adversity and the travels and all of the stuff that he's dealing with and his family, um, to support him and to help him. And everything from the history indicates that she was like this. She was supporting them. She did a great deal of work, and her life was, significantly impacted, just like Joseph's. It seems like she is complaining a little bit, verse 4, where she didn't get to see the plates or the other artifacts associated with the plates like some of the other people did, like people in Joseph's family, his brothers and his dad. She was involved in some of the translation, early on, before, like in between Martin Harris and Oliver Cowdery. Emma was involved in the translation. So she, I understand that. I get that. It's like her life has been so heavily impacted by these events. She was involved in the translation. Why shouldn't she have the opportunity to see these things as well? This blessing, and especially with apparently the Whitmer mother getting to see the plates. Now, it wasn't, if we understand the stories correctly, or it wasn't Joseph who showed her the plates. It was apparently Moroni who showed her the mother, Whitmer mother, the plates. So if that story and that has been talked about, then Emma would feel like, hey, well, why not me too? Given what she had to put up with and deal with, and the heavy lift that she was involved in, I kind of get it. Why didn't I get to see the plates too? So the Lord is just saying, hey, Emma, like, relax. And then she's also asked to pull together hymns to be compiled into a hymn book. Now, what exactly she did and when she started collecting and how much she started collecting is unclear. The hymn book isn't published until about 5 years later, when they're in Kirtland, so there was no immediate action at this point, and it's not clear why. It's safe to assume that there was no money to undergo this sort of activity. I mean, Martin Harris had been cleaned out publishing the Book of Mormon. At this point, the church is quite small, so they're not going to have a lot of money to publish things. The Book of Mormon is not selling well, so nothing happens on this immediately, like, until the Kirtland era. And then the first edition includes 90 hymns, published 1835, and I believe it's 1841 the second edition is published, and there's like 300 something hymns in it. How much of that was Emma's work is unclear. If she had assistance, I don't know. I haven't dug into that, but it takes some years before that's acted on. And then section 26, Smith and Cowdery and Whitmer are instructed to perfect the saints, and they're encouraged to focus on the church at Colesville. So again, that is the Knight family, and the small group of people there, and they're encouraged to focus on what's called common and consent. So that's a consensus building operation where the people are to unite themselves in prayer and faith, and when they do these things, it's there to build consensus. So the Lord's intent is clearly to avoid contention and division. If the people are united, everyone is focused on the same basic nuts and bolts, then this is meant to avoid contention. And we see this as being a problem in the very next lesson, in sections 27 and 28. So that's this lesson.